Hey there, welcome to my first Facebook Live. My name is Susan Gerard, and I'm the founder of the Emotional Intelligence School. And today, we're going to talk about when amazing love doesn't become an amazing relationship. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I was talking with two separate women, and one of them was going through a really bad breakup. She had tried to break up many times, but every time she did, she kept going back. And the reason for that was because when she was with this person, it felt so amazing to her. And but the problem was there was no progression in the relationship. So even though it felt amazing when they were together, they had this really sweet, amazing connection. Whenever she would bring up the future or building something together, or being seen as a couple, he would tell her that they should just stay in the present moment because everything was good in the present moment, which sounds like a really interesting way to get what you want. But anyway, so that was the first thing. And the second thing was I got a message from a woman who said, how do you know when a man really loves you? And that's a really big question. And I think these two things are related, because I think if someone really loves you, well, people will say, if someone really loves you, you'll know it. But in my friend's case, the one who was breaking up and going back, when they were together, she did really feel like she knew it, but then there was no progress in the relationship. So it could be really confusing for women. And the reason I'm making this video today is because I really care about women. I want to see women get what they want out of life. Not at anybody's expense, but I like to see them get a good return on their investment. So if you're investing your time and energy in a relationship, I think it should be rewarding, and you should get what you want to get out of it. And this was not the case with the woman I told you about who was breaking up a lot, or the case for this woman who contacted me about how do you know if a man really loves you. So I'm not good at this whole video thing, so I have some notes right here. So let's see where I am. Okay, so I explained about my two friends. And I just want to let you know that I have been in these situations myself where I am confused because there's a great connection, but yet, you can't work with it, you can't grow with it, so it's very, very confusing. And I've also been in that situation where you're breaking up and going back and breaking up and going back, and I know how emotionally draining that is, and how heartbreaking it is, and how it takes a toll on your self-confidence and your self-esteem. So if you've been here, or you're in this situation, or if you know someone who is, I just want you to know that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that this is happening. And the reason I say that is because from a very early age, women are groomed to see a relationship as a big prize in their life. And so even now, even though it's coming apart a bit, like we all grow up in this patriarchal culture, thinking that like our big prize in life is a relationship. And let's see, and men, on the other hand, are groomed or acculturated to think that their big prize is being successful in their career. So think about this. Women are prizing men or a relationship. It doesn't have to be a man. It could be another woman. It could be a same-sex couple. While men expect them to prize, so men expect us to prize them and their careers. So I don't know about you, but that sounds like a recipe for unlimited frustration. So what does that mean? It means that women spin their wheels investing in relationships, and men are thinking, hey, this works for me, which really sucks for women. So no wonder women are tired. Like, I don't know about you, but like, man, a relationship can be really draining. And I don't think it should be. Because we're not getting a good return on our investment. We're not getting anything near to what we're investing in the relationship. And it's all because of that, where we're placing our focus on what we think like this prize is in life. So, so what happens is, when women get in a relationship and it feels amazing when they're with that person, they think, this is it, I've got the prize. And the other thing that women mistakenly believe is if they feel so amazing and incredible, that he does too. And that's not necessarily true. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but if men are thinking that their prize is a career, and you supporting him in that career and doing for him, he's not going to feel the same way about it, just logically. So this is a dangerous thing for women to believe. Women naturally feel more deeply than men emotionally, and it's not because men can't, it's because they've been groomed to dismiss feelings when they interfere with achievement and when they interfere with things that men prize. And I think the reason women feel more deeply is not because of estrogen or because we're women, although that might be a factor. I think it's more because of conditioning too. And there's nothing wrong with feeling deeply, but the thing is, I don't want to be dragged around by my feelings or by feeling a certain way about another person. I don't know about you, but that is just not my idea of a happy life. So, so what happens is women can get lost in their feelings. They can even get kind of drunk on their feelings while men are thinking about how all of this works for them or doesn't work for them. And just as an aside, just to let you know, men naturally produce more endorphins than women, and that's a feel-good neurotransmitter. And when women are touched and kissed, they produce more oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. And it feels great, but a lot of oxytocin can cloud your ability to think objectively. I have heard that like when after men and women have sex and women want to cuddle after, and men are like kind of over it, it's because of this oxytocin. Like we're just more sensitive to it. So this is why women are often confused, because they feel so great with a guy, but then the guy doesn't feel that level of pleasure and intensity in the same way. And that's why women think a lot about men, and it seems like men don't think about women in that same way. So when you're feeling these amazing feelings, you're, and I did, so I'm not saying just you did it, I did it. Like I was missing red flags and tells, you know, like in poker, they talk about a tell. It's like a slight movement or facial expression that lets the other poker players know that the person has a good hand or a bad hand. So when these relationships start, they feel so wonderful. We're getting this oxytocin. It's pretty amazing. And then we're missing the tells and the red flags. And it's not your fault that you're missing them. A lot of times they're very subtle. And a lot of times, you know, it's just, we're so focused on how good that feels. And it makes sense because, like, in our daily lives, unless we're consciously trying to enjoy things in our lives and prioritize feeling amazing and celebrating and you know, forming relationships with people that are safe and nurturing, a lot of times we're kind of starved for this. So like if we meet a man and we have that great feeling, it's kind of larger than life, because our life doesn't have very much of that in it. So let's see where we are. And then what happens is, you know, eventually the woman starts to get that, oh, like, God, this feels good, right? But then like when we're apart, it's like all icky and hard. And then what women have a tendency to do is to try to work on the relationship. And I really don't like this, because that's an investment that will never pay off, I don't think, unless the man is like totally in, you know, in it. And to be honest, I haven't had that experience. But I don't like to see women putting all this energy and trying to make this work. And also I see them like thinking, and this is really heartbreaking to me, because women are so amazing, and this is just like the worst, but like thinking that, oh, if only something was a little bit better or not wrong with me, then this wouldn't be happening. And that is just not true. It's like I said earlier, it's based on these ideas that we've inherited about what we think we should want and what is like the prize in life. So what I want to talk to you about is how to avoid situations like this, because the woman I spoke with who's going through this breakup, get back together, break up, get back together, that is like so draining and painful. And she realizes now that she's just going to have to do it. And she's invested like invested energy in this relationship for 18 months. And you don't deserve to have to do that after you've put like 18 months of energy and your intelligence and your, you know, who you are, which is amazing. You're an amazing human being. You're a unique human being. You should not have to like go through that, you know, brutal kind of breakup over that. Like, that's just not right. I don't think that's right. So the way to avoid situations like this is to develop your emotional intelligence. And when you have high emotional intelligence, or you're developing your emotional intelligence to your potential, you see a lot at a big distance. And that makes a huge difference in your life. Because if you can see something from a distance, you're not going to invest in it only to find out that, you know, it was a crappy investment. You can see those tells and those red flags from far, far away. So like when you meet men, or when you talk to men, or when you meet them online, or you have an email exchange with them, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's not going to work. So it'll save you like so much time and heartache. And so you could be thinking, but aren't all men like that? And I have to be honest with you, I don't know if all men are like that. In my experience, a lot of them are, but that's just me. And and I'm like in a certain demographic. I'm 56. So like if you're in your 30s or 20s or 40s, it could be different. But what I want to say is, what I do know about this is that if women continue to accept this kind of high investment, low yield relationship, if they continue to do that, then nothing will change between men and women, and nothing will change for them. And so regardless of whether all men are like this or not, like, it's very important to feel confident in your interactions, and to not get yourself into situations where you're thinking, oh my God, I wish I wouldn't have invested in this. I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wish I wouldn't have gotten involved with this person. So you have to ask yourself, like, what is it worth to you to not be in those kind of situations, to not, find yourself depleted and not appreciated for your time, your energy, your efforts, all of the things that you bring to a relationship. I think it's important to think about, like, well, what is that really worth to you? Now, for me, that was worth a lot, because I certainly didn't like, this disconnect I was having between what I thought was happening and what was actually happening. It made me not trust myself, and it made me be wary of men and of people in general. And when I say wary isn't the same thing as smart. Wary isn't the same thing as being intelligent about it. wary is more like, is more shut down. So I didn't like that. Like, I wanted to be confident, talking to people, interacting with people, building relationships with people, not like wary of them because of past experiences that were so painful. So, so yeah, I really think women deserve better. So what I want to invite you to do is, I've committed to doing these Facebook Lives for 3 months. I bought this 90-day planner and I love it. And I put one in for every week. And I'm going to cover a lot of different topics, things that people find difficult in relationships, in whether that's your job or personal relationships, or your relationship with yourself, or how you feel about your life and where you're going in your life. And so I invite you to join me for these. And if you'd like to suggest one, please leave it in the comments. If you've always wanted to know or understand something, especially like, I think before I developed my own emotional intelligence, a lot of things were very mysterious to me, and I just kept trying harder and trying harder, which just made me tired and didn't really get me the results I wanted. So if you have a theme or in your life, or a pattern or something, and you would like me to talk about it and talk about how emotional intelligence impacts that, I'm happy to do it. And then the other thing that I'm planning to do is, in June, I'm going to launch an 8-week program called Reclaim Your Emotional Intelligence. I'm very excited about it. I'm very new to business and to working with people online. So I'm still learning all of that part. But my background is in education and psychology. And maybe in the next video, I'll tell you a story about how I came to emotional intelligence, because it was a pretty tragic event for me that kind of brought me to it. And what I would like to do more than anything is to help women avoid those kind of tragic events. There are a lot of them that are avoidable if you have higher emotional intelligence. So if you have any questions, even after this video is over, if you leave them in the comments, I'll respond to them. And join me next week, same time, same place, Thursday, 5 p.m. That's Hawaii Standard Time. That's where I am. And we'll get together and have a nice little talk. And I've really enjoyed this, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. And until next time, aloha.